Welcome back to Susan Dawn Spiritual Connections, where we're doing a quick check-in on the energies for sacred unions. This is for the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and the union energies. Take it as it resonates for your inner masculine, for a counterpart connection if you're on the sacred union path of ascension, or for the global collective, because what affects one affects the whole as well. So I want to talk a little bit. If I feel a little bit flat, it's because it was a really heavy weekend with work and holding space for a loved one who experienced tragedy. So I'm a little bit tired, a little bit drained, but still feeling really, really good and really anchored into myself. And feeling at peace. I did 2 light language transmissions this weekend in support of everything that I was experiencing. One was called Healing from Heartbreak, and that was a transmission that was coming through over the past several weeks. I thought it was just going to be about healing heartbreak when it comes to relationship, and that I was going to get the go-ahead, the green light to actually do the transmission. Now that I was feeling much more steady and had mended a lot of the residual heartache that I was feeling. But it's interesting, it came through this weekend after we learned some tragic news with regards to a loved one's loved one. Healing from heartbreak is going to be for anybody who is experiencing heartbreak, the wounded heart, anybody who is experiencing grief or loss. And that can be loss of relationship, because relationships can feel like, endings can feel like deaths themselves, or it can be grief from the passing of loved ones. It doesn't have to be present. It can be something in the past, if you just want to do, clearing to help clear any past energies, or it could be present as well. And then on the heels of that, as I was finishing that up, I got the go-ahead to do I'll talk about that in a minute. I got the go-ahead to do a second transmission, and that was all about helping to hold the space for yourself, for others, and maybe even for the world. So you take it as it resonates for you. When I was doing the transmission, I didn't mention it in the healing, the heartbreak transmission, but when I was doing that transmission, we had a red and black dragon come in and kind of settle in. And it looks, now that I'm being reminded of it, it looks kind of like this, the way that he kind of settled in. He doesn't look like this, he's more black, but he settled in like this, kind of like curled up and anchored in. And when I began the second transmission called Holding Space, he was still there. He was still present, showing us that he really is anchored in. And it was a masculine energy with regards to that dragon. And it felt very protective. It felt very sacred. It felt very much like providing that safe space for you to feel your emotions with regards to releasing that heartbreak and to be able to hold that space within yourself. This is especially helpful for those who might experience compassion fatigue, who are extremely empathetic and who tend to take on those emotions as a weight within themselves to feel that. This enables you to expand your heart and bring in more light so that you can hold space for others without taking that on for yourself, taking on their experiences for yourself. You can have more compassion and more empathy for others without taking that on for yourself. I was also told that it will also open you up to having that emotional availability to be able to hold that space for others. And again, for yourself as well. It doesn't just have to be for others. This could be speaking to yourself, speaking compassionately to yourself, holding that space for yourself. So really big light language transmissions over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections, my sister channel. Make sure that you're checking those out if those resonate for you. We have a bunch of free light language transmissions. I also have most of these up on my website as well under free resources, so you can check those out. But these light language transmissions, I can feel them as I'm performing them, how powerful they are. So if you're called to, you can use those as a healing resource for yourself as well. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about. I want to share some personal experiences because it kind of blew my mind. Venus goes direct today. We're still in the shadow period, so we might still be feeling the residual effects, but Venus has gone direct. We still have 6 or 7 other planets in retrograde, including Mercury. However, Venus going direct, Venus was a biggie. Venus was leading the way for profound transformation within your relationship with yourself and with relationship to the world and relationship to others. It was really having you evaluate how you connect to yourself, how you relate to yourself, how you relate to others in the world. It was all about relationships. It was all about that balance within and that balance without. It was a biggie. It was relatively smooth sailing for me. I got through it almost unscathed until maybe 2 days ago. 2 days ago, and when I say relatively unscathed, I had my own shit that I was working through as well. But when I'm working through stuff now, it feels much more organic, much more natural. It's not as heavy. It's not as tower moment-y. It's not as heavy. I'm aware of what I'm working through. I work through it, and I always come back to that peace. And that feels really good to be able to be on the other side of that healing, to say, okay, this is what I need to be aware of. This is what I need to work on. I work on it. I allow myself to do the deep dives, and then I can feel the energy shift. I can feel how it clears, and I can see that reflect in my physical world as more peace or better dynamics or healthier communication. I've been seeing that a lot because I've been doing a lot of healing with regards to relationships with my family, and that's what Venus has been bringing forth for me: relationships with my family, healthier relationships and dynamics with my family. So I got through it relatively unscathed, relatively. But 2 days ago, I actually saw my ex, my counterpart, my twin. I don't know what to call him, honestly. As much as I would love to believe, there's still a part of me that has just kind of surrendered all labels, that has just kind of surrendered all belief, that has just kind of surrendered. And that's the word for it. It's just complete surrender. So what's interesting about this is I was coming back from something I'm very excited about. I'm turning 40 at the end of the month, and I am celebrating. And so I was coming back to my house, and I was turning left, and it's funny, as I was driving, I was thinking about him. I mean, it just happens. He just crosses my mind. Sometimes it's for healing, sometimes it's for reflection, sometimes it's just, sending little bits of love, because that's what I still feel. I don't have any anger or resentment left in me. It's just gone. It does not mean that I'm going to allow myself to be treated as I have been treated, even as far as fairly recently. But it just, any anger is just gone. And all I feel is an energy of peace and love surrounding everything. And it's interesting. I have not had direct communication with him. I have not seen him in a full year. Our last communication was a year ago, a few days ago, in past August. And I've had not had direct communication with him. Other people close to him have reached out to me over the past year, but I have not been the one to initiate anything. And even him, he's reached out. I have not been the one to initiate. Not out of stubbornness, not out of pride, just because he was the one that ended up blocking me. And I just did not have it in me to keep chasing that. And I realized that if he was going to block me, I needed to give him that space. And that's what I did. I gave him the space that he seemed to be wanting, for both of our healings. And I could see that too. This is my perspective. This is my experience. I'm not speaking for him. This is just my experience. And then when he did communicate with me, it was not pleasant. In fact, it really disrupted my nervous system and made me doubt myself and made me doubt basically everything. And I've been doing a lot of healing on myself around that as well. So, he's still been on my mind. He's still been part of my energy field. You guys know this connection. It's just, that's why he might not be my counterpart, but I still consider him my twin. And that's just the path that I consider myself to be on. That's just how I prefer to label it right now, because that's the easiest way for me to understand where I am right now and to accept where I am right now with it. Because I have opened myself up to potentially meeting other people and even wanting that. this person, my counterpart, my twin, he was my best friend, and that is the sad part for me, the disappointment for me. But I've just surrendered that. I've had to let go, been forced to let go, because again, I can't chase anything, can't force anything that doesn't want connection with me. And any pain that I felt around that over the course of this past year, especially through really choosing myself and honoring myself and loving myself, I've really healed that. And so he's still there though. I mean, he's always going to be part of my heart. I said to a friend, I said, he's part of my heart, but he's not part of my life. And that feels good. That feels fine. Because he's always going to be part of me. He's always going to be part of my heart. He's always going to be part of my energy. That's just this twin energy. I mean, I just can't I can't explain it. I mean, if you understand it, you understand it, but that doesn't mean that he has to be part of my life. And that's his choice, whether or not to be part of my life. His choice because of what I require as part of my life now. If you're going to be part of my life, this is not just for him, but anybody. If you're going to be part of my life, this is what I require. And the bare minimum is respect and an honoring of who I am and growing with me. Bare minimum. And that's just something I've learned about myself. I've overcome a lot when it comes to people pleasing, when it comes to self-sacrifice, when it comes to abandoning myself and not honoring myself. I've overcome all of that, and I can't go back to who I was and who that used to be. So there's a lot of changes within me, and especially when it comes to relationships, there's a lot of change. So he's always been part of my energy, and I believe he always will be. And like I said, I will always love him, and that's how I know it's unconditional love. I would have doubted that perhaps in the past. I would have questioned it because I tend to question things, but he's part of my heart. And when I think about loving him, it doesn't matter whether or not he loves me back. It doesn't matter whether or not he wants connection. It doesn't matter whether or not he's part of my heart. I will always love him, and I will always want the best for him. I will always want him to be happy. That has been from day one, and that's my truth. I will always want him to be happy, whatever that happiness means to him, even if that's not part of my life and part with me. So that being said, all of that being said, that's where I stand with regards to my connection. I haven't spoken about my connection for a while because there just hasn't been anything to share, anything to say. I've been kind of grappling with my own stuff. And it's hard to articulate how I feel, except that I feel very much at peace and just very much in a place of love for myself, for him, for everybody, just very much in a place of peace and love and really joy, a joy that I haven't felt in a number of years. I feel very anchored in and present in my life, and it has taken this long to go through that, what I had to go through, the darkness that I had to go through to find this light within myself and within my life. And I feel extremely grateful for everything that I've experienced to get to this point. And that's a little bit getting to like turning 40 and my birthday and everything I'm grateful for, just freaking grateful for being here and all that stuff. I'll get into that in a later share, I'm sure. But anyway, so he's still in my heart, still in my energy field. I still think about him all the time. I just can't help it. I don't think about him in the way that I used to, but I definitely still think about him. And when I say in the way that I used to, I mean that the attachment is just, it's gone. That need, that missing him, it's gone. Of course I still miss him. Of course I still love him. That's a natural part of loving somebody. But that need, that desperation that I felt in the beginning of my journey that I didn't understand. I was talking to a client and we were sharing about how when you first meet somebody, your connection, when you meet your twin, it's like you found them. You recognize that. You recognize home. You recognize yourself. You recognize love. You see everything in them. You see, I've always said, you see the past, present, and future versions of them. And this is not just about, you see the potential. You see every timeline. You see who they are, who they were, and you love every bit of them. And that person It feels like that's your person. And so when we experience these connections, again, it feels like home. It feels so sacred. And then what happens is it feels like when you're separated, it's like it steals your breath. It's like it feels like a part of you is just dying. It's being cut out. I remember I would leave his house just for the night. I would just leave. I'd know I'd see him the next day or we'd talk, but I felt like I was dying. And I would get in my car and I'd start sobbing on my way home from his house. And I would call one of my soul sisters. I'd be like, I don't understand why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I had never felt that way with anybody. But it felt like a part of me was being ripped out. It felt like a part of me was separating. And that's what it feels like. And it's because that's what this twin connection is. It's like you found each other across lifetimes, through lifetimes, and it's because you are separated. You have been separated in the past, and so that separation programming is still running, and that's what you learn to heal. And that's what union is about: is you heal that separation programming, that separation consciousness. And that's what it feels like. It feels like you are just being ripped apart. But again, that's what you're healing. You're healing that separation consciousness. That's what union is. It's recognizing that there is no separation, that it's only an illusion, and that across time and space, you're never separated from each other. So, all that to be said, I have not seen him or spoken to him directly in conversation, but I would always feel like I was seeing him. There'd be somebody who looked like him or who stood like him. There were a couple of times when I would literally, over the course of the year, turn around just to make sure it wasn't him, because it took my breath away. And I would be like, oh my gosh, is that him? And there were so many times when I imagined seeing him and reconnecting, seeing him in the grocery store or running into him in a parking lot. And I would smile and I would wave and I would welcome conversation. But it was not meant to be. For some reason, the universe was really protecting maybe both of us. And I always trusted that. I always trusted that the universe would bring us together if we were meant to be together. For the first time, I began to really trust that this year. Because I began to trust that over the course of our journey, where I would just show up where he was, or I wouldn't know where he was exactly in location. He'd send me like a cryptic message and I would find him. But I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want the crypticness. I said, you know what, universe, be direct. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And what's funny is, apparently he's friends with one of my friends on Facebook, and we had shared the same meme within hours of each other. And my friend thought it was funny, and so she showed it to me, and I just said, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. In the past, I would have looked at it like, oh my gosh, what an amazing synchronicity, but I said, nope, do better, universe. And then 2 days later, I see him, like physically see him. And so what happened was I'm turning left and he's walking, and it was him. And it took me by surprise. And I don't know if he saw me. I'm fairly certain he did. Fairly certain he recognized my car at the very least. But there he was. And it happened so fast. And I was so mind blown and shocked. Even if I had time to react, I probably don't know what I would have done or said. So I just kept going, and I ended up just bursting into sobs. And a friend of mine asked, well, what did you feel when you saw him? And I said, he was my person. Like, there he was. Like, it was him. And he just looked like him. He looked like he always does. He looked like him. And that's what was so emotional for me. It was just like, almost like no time had passed at all. He was just there. He was just him. A whole year. I've become such a different person, and I'm so proud of the woman that I've become. A whole year has passed, and it's like in the blink of an eye. It feels like no time at all. And yet, we have not communicated, and yet we have not had conversation. So I don't know who he is, and there's a lot of history between us. There's a lot of pain between us. There's a lot of really shitty behavior between us, and even toxic behavior between us. So I don't even know what that would mean to have a conversation. But to see him was just a little bit of a shock to the system. And then I just allowed myself to cry it out. I was done within like 10 minutes. And I allowed myself to say, okay, how do I feel? And I said to myself, I don't want to analyze it. I don't want to think about it. There's nothing to think about. It triggered me into thinking, into opening my heart. It triggered me into emotion. And I said to myself, okay, what is that emotion? That emotion is my heart expanded. My emotion is to realize that I do love him and I will always love him. And maybe I had guarded my heart against that. But I love him and I will always love him. Again, he's part of my heart. Will always be part of my heart. But he's just not part of my life. And again, there's no sadness about that. It is what it is. And it feels so peaceful. It just feels so peaceful. I don't know if that was closure. I don't know if that was a stepping stone. I had been channeling for you guys that there was going to be forward movement, that there was going to be conversations, that there was going to be reunions, that you might even see each other or they will see you. I've been channeling that for weeks. You guys know that. I have taken myself out of the equation within my own channelings because I quite frankly don't know what to believe anymore with regards to my own life and my own journey. So every time I've been channeling lately, I've just taken myself out of the equation, out of the collective, and brought through whatever needs to be brought through, even though on some level I know that I'm still part of the collective. But I feel so anchored into the present that it's just, okay, well, it happened. And honestly, it feels like it didn't even happen. It feels like it was a dream. And again, there's no ruminating on it. There's no obsessing over it. There's no thinking about it. It is what it is. It was what it was. The universe trying to get my attention or trying to get closure or trying to open me up and to consider how I really feel. And how I really feel is an acknowledgement of, yeah, he was my person for a very long time. And there he was. And I love him. I will always love him. And that's that. That's it. That's that. It just feels very matter of fact. I have absolutely no anticipation and absolutely no expectation of communication or conversation or reunion or reconciliation. I have no anticipation or expectation of anything in my life. It's a very present, very different way of experiencing my life now. And yeah, so that happened. I almost got out of Venus Retrograde unscathed, but apparently the universe wanted to open me up and wanted my heart to expand and wanted me to realize, that I had a little bit of a guard up. But through that, it just shows me, okay, yeah, still love him. Always gonna love him. Does that mean anything? I don't know. I don't think so. At least it doesn't change anything. Let me put it that way. That's what I've realized. It doesn't change anything. Because I've always loved him. And that doesn't change anything. So, it is what it is. There's going to be more coming. Again, I'm not putting myself in this equation. But if you're having communication, if you're having sudden meetups and run-ins, the thing that blew my mind the most is it's been a year. And driven down that same road, I have had plenty of opportunity to see him. It's almost like the universe was like protecting me. He might have seen me. I haven't seen him. I've seen people who reminded me of him or I thought was him, and it wasn't. He was plain as day right in front of me. And that's what shook me up. Why now? Why now? Well, why now? Because it's time. It's time either for forward movement, as some of you will experience, or it's time now for closure, as others of you will experience. But either way, there's going to be some kind of forward momentum for your own individual life. And that is very much something to look forward to, especially as Venus goes direct. So, that said, what I'm going to do is pull a card for the Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine, and the Union energies. If you'd like to share your own experiences, some of you have been messaging me or emailing me and letting me know what's going on, which I always appreciate. I might not always be able to respond, but I always appreciate and try to, write back a little bit with gratitude for you sharing your journeys and trusting me with your journeys. So some of you, you're absolutely confirming everything that I channel here, that it's happening for you. So I appreciate that validation and that confirmation as well. This is hard work. I mean, this is not easy work to be doing this energy work and to trust in this energy work, to trust in what you're receiving, especially because the evidence or the physical world seems so blatantly different or crazy or like what the hell is happening. But I trust in what I channel. I have, over the past 6 years, I've had no choice but to trust in what I channel. And there have been people who have doubted me, loved ones who have doubted me, who have questioned, and I've doubted and questioned myself. Of course I have. That's part of the process. But I very much believe that the energy that I receive is for a reason, and it's to assist in the journey, not to attach to the journey, but to assist as guidance for the journey and moving forward through this ascension path. And for those of us who were catalyzed with a partner, it's the sacred union path of ascension, where you're catalyzed with a partner and your union is a part of it. And whether your union is going to be with that original counterpart, or whether it's going to be somebody new, a new counterpart, somebody who is maybe a true twin flame, I don't like that phrase, or like somebody who's actually your twin flame, maybe that person you thought was a twin flame and it wasn't, or maybe this is a high vibrational soulmate, or maybe that person was your twin flame, but maybe you are just meant to match up with a counterpart connection, somebody who is matching your frequency, somebody who wants what you want as far as life partnership and relationship and life experiences, somebody who wants to experience that with you. There are a number of different paths. Remember, people like to claim, especially in this community, people like to claim that there's only one blueprint. There is not. We're way showers. You're paving the path yourself through your own union. And there's a number of different paths that are available. It's through your own free will. It's through your own choices, through your own conscious connections that you get to create your life. And your union is part of that creation. With another, of course. But your union is part of that creation. So, and it's still unfolding. It might surprise you as well. The original twin or the original counterpart might come back, might meet you where you are. The point is to not attach. The point is to just allow yourself to enjoy your life and create a life that you are loving, because what we had channeled is you're going to keep walking on your path. Your path is illuminated. The more that you're in alignment with your soul, honoring your soul, trusting yourself and your intuition, despite how the outside world seems to scream or how outside influences seem to scream, you're trusting yourself now. And that might have meant making really difficult decisions. But you have to trust yourself even through those difficult decisions and those difficult choices, because you're trusting your intuition, and that means everything. And so that's you honoring yourself. Your intuition, you might not understand why you're being asked to do certain things or to make certain choices, or why you're being guided, but follow the peace. If it doesn't feel peaceful, we did a channeling this on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections. If it doesn't feel peaceful, if it makes you feel really restricted, if it makes you second guess, if it gives you a sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach, if it makes you feel anxious, that's not the path that you're supposed to go on. And your ego can kind of take hold and say, well, yes, it does. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Go this way, go this way, go this way. Or other people can be like distracting you and saying, do this, do this, do this. But you have to honor yourself and trust your intuition. Don't let your pride, don't let your stubbornness, don't let your ego detract you from where your soul really wants to go. And it might not be where you thought you were going. It's like this. It's like you meet somebody. I had no intentions of having a connection like this, or being in a relationship like this, or doing what it is that I do. I was on my path. I was building my own publishing company. I was publishing my books. I was building a nonprofit. That was my purpose. And then all of a sudden, I met my twin, my original counterpart, catalyst, my ex, whatever. I met him, and my life kind of blew up. it got turned upside down and everything else took a back seat, and my healing journey, my ascension journey, became front and center. And I spent the past 5 years on that healing, well, 6 years now, on that healing journey. And what's interesting about that is it actually, once I allowed myself to surrender and just say, okay, well, I'm just going to open up. I'm just going to, I would have been guarded, but from the very minute that I met him, I said, I'm just going to trust this. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm not going to guard myself against this. I'm just going to open up and trust this. I did that from the very beginning, the very first time I met him. That's so unusual for me because I would overthink everything, but I trusted my heart for the first time. I was guided to trust my heart for the first time. And what has unraveled over the course of these past 6 years, yes, it's been very difficult and very painful. A lot of that was because of the resistance and the confusion around this whole journey, because this journey is confusing until you really understand what it's about, which you don't know until you experience it. You don't know what you don't know, so have compassion for yourself. Until you really experience it, you don't know. And it's only in hindsight that I can understand. But it's only in hindsight, too, that I can feel really grateful for where it's led me. And I can say that I've had that open heart the whole time. And it was not the path that I anticipated being on. Never anticipated doing this. But I'm so grateful because I love the life that I've been led down. And I love the life that I am now beginning to consciously create. And so I'm walking my path. And that's what I was trying to get at, is you're walking your path, and trust your path. It is going to be illuminated for you. If it feels peaceful and exciting, and before the second guessing, before your ego takes hold, if it feels peaceful and right and exciting, continue walking that path. The path might curve, it might turn. You might take a step here to the right or to the left a couple times. You might not know which direction it's actually going, but keep walking your path. It's not a straight line. Your path is never going to be a straight line. It's not meant to be. So you're walking your path, and it's illuminated for you. As long as you're in alignment, it's going to feel smooth. It's going to feel easy. It's going to just feel, not without its challenges or obstacles, but easily overcome. And it's going to feel good and peaceful. And guess what's going to happen? It's not that your partner, like I used to think, your partner is going to be walking parallel to you and you're just going to meet and converge. That's what I used to think. And in a way, they're saying, yes, that's true. You can look at it like that. But more so, it's going to be, they're coming from the opposite end, especially the twin connection, the counterpart connection. They're walking from the opposite end, but it's the same path. It's the same path. It's just they're coming from the other direction. And that's where you meet in the middle. So trust the union. Don't attach to the labels, maybe. Don't attach to the names. Don't attach. Just believe in the union. At least that's where I am for myself. So let's see what's going on for masculine, feminine, and union, shall we? What's going on for the divine masculine? Where is the divine masculine currently, especially with this Venus direct energy? Sixth chakra, they are having massive upgrades with regards to their intuition. And I do feel like there's telepathic communication, or they're trying to telepathically communicate with you is what I'm getting. They're trying to telepathically communicate with you. I feel like they're trying to manifest you, but I feel like they're trying to manifest you from a mind space, almost like they're trying to get you to communicate. They're trying to get you to call. They're trying to get you to show up. But they're trying to do it from a mind space versus the heart space. And they're beginning, part of this energy is beginning to understand that that's where they were kind of not getting it wrong, because wrong is not the right word, but that's where they were kind of off track, because it all comes from the heart. You meet on the bridge of the heart, and that's where your telepathic communication comes from. Not from the mind, but from the heart, because that's where you feel each other. And that's where that cord is between you two. It's all from the heart. You meet on the bridge of the heart. I channeled that many, many years ago. You can search my YouTube channel, the phrase meet on the bridge of the heart. That was like maybe 5 years ago now. It was a very powerful and profound way that they were sharing it. You meet in the heart space, always. And you experience things intuitively. You experience things within the third eye, within the mind. You might have visions. You might hear them. You might dream about them. But it comes through the heart. So I feel like they are beginning to really open up their intuition. And what I'm hearing is their true intuition. They're really beginning to understand what true intuition is and what connection is. And this is coming from, remember we talked about this previously, coming online with the heart and the mind. That's this energy. Now they're getting into alignment with their heart and recognizing it's not all about the mind. The mind taught them so much. The mind is a very powerful tool, but it's the heart that guides. It's the heart that creates. So a really interesting energy. We're going to get more for the masculine in a minute, but I want to see what's going on for the divine feminine now. What's going on for the divine feminine? Angel of love. Divine feminine, I feel like you're holding this energy of love within yourself. Not just within yourself, like you're not keeping it to yourself. They want me to clarify that, but it's like you're embodying this. They're giving me the word exuding. You're exuding this energy of love. You are this angel of love. This is because you have come into a place of love within yourself, and now you're exuding that for others. And it's just an open heart. It's just the expanded heart. I'm hearing you've gone through a massive transformation to reach this point in yourself. And remember that these readings are timeless. So if I'm channeling and it's not resonating for you yet, keep it in the back of your mind. This could be something that you will experience, or something that's guidance for you to experience. All readings are meant to be timeless. Take it as it resonates for you in your current energy. This could be something that you've already experienced as well. But you've gone through a massive transformation, and I'm actually seeing the duality of it. It's almost like the love and the light. No, the darkness and the light. Like I'm seeing like the death card and the love card. And it's like from that ending comes creation. From the destruction comes a new beginning. And so it's like the duality of it. You've gone through that death cycle within yourself. You've been reborn within yourself. And so now it's like you are exuding. You've gone through the darkness. And so now you're exuding that light. And it's only in the darkness that we can really understand our light, right? It's only in the shadows that we can appreciate the light. And now it's time to appreciate the light. And I feel like we've been channeling that for a couple of weeks now, or a couple months now. It's like now you're at the phase of your ascension where it's like you're not learning in pain anymore. You're not learning from toxic energy. You're not learning through the shadow. There's always going to be, some shadow work. There's always going to be self-awareness work, being responsible for yourself and accountable for your own healing, etc., etc. But you're learning through encouragement, uplifting, joy. You're in that higher heart ascension now. You're not learning through the pain anymore. You don't have to learn through the pain anymore. You don't have to learn through the suffering. You already did. You went through that. It showed you the darkness so you could understand it. But through the darkness, you're also shown the light. And the light is the truth of who you are. Love is the core of who you are. And I'm talking for both masculine and feminine. This could be the feminine energy within both of you. This is just feminine energy as a whole. So the feminine energy exudes that love, exudes that nurturance, exudes that light. And it's because you have been through this rebirth within yourself. Divine Feminines, you're in a beautiful place. This energy feels just really, really soft, really nurturing, just really, really lovely, really beautiful. What's going on for the union energies between these two? What's going on for the union energies between these two? I want to pivot back to the Divine Masculine for a minute here and just mention the energy for the Divine Masculine feels really good as well. So I don't want to underestimate what we're feeling for the Divine Masculine. This energy feels really magical for the Divine Masculine as well. I feel like they are, in a way, matching the Divine Feminine, but from a very masculine presence. And remember, conscious masculine energy is present, consistent, stable, direct. The divine conscious masculine protects the divine feminine and provides for the divine feminine. We're not talking materially here, although that's a reflection. Material is obviously a reflection of the energy. So if they're taking care of their own material world, then it's a reflection of them being in that conscious masculine energy where they can hold that space. But we're talking about energetically. The divine feminine the divine masculine protects the divine feminine's heart. The divine masculine honors her, cherishes her. He protects her, keeps her safe in that way. It's a beautiful energy. So I feel like it's almost like it's matching this. It's mirroring this energy, but this is from a very masculine energy, a very present energy, a very stable energy. Not that she's not stable, but feels more flowy. This feels more airy, I guess you could say, ethereal. This feels a little bit more, shall we say, magical. I don't have the right word for this. This just feels much more. I don't have a word for it. I'm speechless. This feels much more grounded. That's what it is. This feels much more grounded. So I feel like the Divine Masculine is having a lot of illumination, and I feel like they're recognizing a lot about themselves as well. So it's a beautiful energy for the Divine Masculine as well. I didn't want to underestimate that. I wanted to mention that as well. Okay, so what's going on for the union energies for these two? We have Woman Holding Heart. This is the feminine energy. The feminine energy is just very present, and I feel like present within both of them. We've been channeling for a while that the Divine Masculine is healing the feminine energy within them, their own inner feminine. They could also be healing feminine energy around them. So this could be like mother energy, sisters, relationships, exes, children, stuff like that. Any feminine energy, but especially the feminine energy within them. I feel like they have been understanding feminine energy and healing the feminine energy. Before, they might have only viewed the feminine energy in wounded nature and distortion. But now I feel like they are really beginning to respect, honor, and cherish what the feminine energy means. Not just with regards to you, Divine Feminine. They're seeing you in a new light. They're really seeing you as the Divine Feminine. But also, they're beginning to understand what the feminine energy means for the planet as a whole, and how the feminine energy doesn't take away from the masculine energy, but the two combined, the two in a union, is extremely powerful. It's a powerful conduit for change, is what I'm hearing. Powerful conduit for change on this planet. It's not one over the other, it's the two working together. And that's where the Divine Masculine protects and honors and cherishes the heart of the Divine Feminine. That's where he holds that space for her and honors her and what she does for the planet and what she does for all. And we're not talking physically, but we're talking energetically, what the feminine presence to this planet brings. And I feel like he's beginning to really honor this. So I feel like the feminine energy, I'm just getting pointed to the 4-4, but what I'm getting is like 4 over here and 4 over here. So it's like coming together as one. I don't know how to explain it. Coming together. So it's almost like what I'm seeing is like it's split. Like this 4 belongs to the masculine, this 4 belongs to the feminine, and it comes together to create the 44. And what does that come to? It comes to a number 8, which is all about that abundance. What I'm actually seeing is the infinity sign. So it brings about an infinite energy of love, an infinite energy of abundance. And so an infinite energy of love. Yeah, exactly. Infinite energy of love with the Woman Holding Heart they just pointed me to. So I feel like there's more love coming into the connection. I feel like where there might have been a guardedness, mistrust, where there might have been resentment or pain because you were operating out of that pain. Now there's illumination where you are beginning to see the connection for what it has always been before the trauma and the triggers and the tower moments all took hold. And we've talked about that in other channelings as well. I encourage you guys to check out Twin Flame Truths. It's a playlist here on my YouTube. It goes deep. It's an excerpt of a longer program that I have on my website, but it goes deep into these soul connections and these how it all works, and you're coming together and the healing and what happens during the healing, etc. So that's what this is all about. It feels like there's this just newfound sense of recognition and love. It's almost like coming full circle. There's a reset that is happening. It's not just forward movement. It's a massive reset. And we had channeled a couple of days ago, weeks ago, whenever it was, a previous Sacred Union energy update, a fairly recent previous Sacred Union energy update, that it feels as if the past 2 years, it's like there was some kind of, I don't have a word for it, like a hijacking. It's like your union should have happened 2 years ago. But there was some kind of detour that your connection, for one reason or the other, it's not to blame and it's not to judge, but for one reason or the other, there was some kind of detour that happened within your connection that led to deeper and deeper layers of healing, obviously, which is always beneficial. But there was some kind of detour that happened. And I feel like it's like we're getting back on track. We're getting back on track. Okay. So let's just go a little bit deeper. I just want to pull one card for how are you feeling about each other. And then we're going to end for the night because I don't want this to go on forever, and it already has. Just a reminder, my book, Daybreak, comes out tomorrow, September 4th. And to celebrate it, we're going to be having a live stream event. We had so much fun on the first one. We're going to do it again. So make sure that you're joining us for the live stream where I'm going to be reading messages for you. It's very easy. All you have to do is put a number between 1 and 333, which is how many messages are in the book. And I will correspond that number with a message and read it for you, and you can take it as it resonates for you. It's a lot of fun. It's just a nice way to gather with the community and to celebrate the release of Daybreak, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be available everywhere books are sold. It's going to be available in ebook and in print, and if you want a signed copy, you can get it through my website. Okay, speaking of, see, gift. All right, what is the masculine? How's the masculine feeling about the feminine? How's the masculine feeling about the feminine right now, or the connection? How's the masculine feeling about the feminine or the connection right now? Mystery, things are still kind of shrouded. In the past, this card has come out, and I feel like it's been a mask. I don't feel like it's a mask anymore. I feel like the divine masculine has really been getting in touch with themselves, really getting to know themselves on a deeper level. They might have thought that they knew themselves, but there were still layers of getting to know themselves. There's still layers of connecting deeper with themselves, and we're talking like the core. Before all the programming, before all the conditioning, before the trauma, before the triggers, etc., getting to the root of who you are. And that takes a lot. It takes a lot of layers. It takes a lot of deep dives in order to do that. It takes a lot of facing your shadows, facing yourself. And I feel like for the longest time the divine masculine avoided that because it was painful. But I feel like they're beginning to do that. And so I don't feel like it's a mask anymore, but I feel like it's like it's still a little bit veiled. It's like the feminine is not meant to know what the masculine is entirely going through, because they are going through, it's like protection, because they are still going through their ascension. They've been going through their ascension for the past year, and really activated to their ascension the past year. The divine feminine goes first with regards to her ascension, and the masculine holds that space and grounds that energy for her. And then the divine feminine is able to guide the divine masculine, whether energetically or otherwise, through their ascension. You're still going through it together at the same time, but it's the way it's experienced is different. And so I feel like the divine masculine is experiencing their ascension, experiencing changes, and especially changes with the way that they view themselves, the way that they value themselves, the way that they love themselves, the way that they even, I'm hearing the phrase hold themselves. And what I'm getting from that is, yes, value, but also that confidence in themselves. This is not arrogance. This is not false confidence. This is not ego, but it's a very, they're showing me the emperor. The emperor in the highest esteem is somebody who can be that leader for themselves, have integrity. Huge word for the divine masculine, integrity, have a sense of dignity, have a sense of self-respect, and be their own inner authority. That's conscious divine masculine. And I feel like this masculine is definitely beginning to understand that and experience that. And I feel like it's not that they are hiding anymore, where they might have been hiding or avoiding and having that mask up, but it feels more so that they're going through a transformation. And I feel like the divine feminine is almost like not privy to that transformation, because this is the divine masculine's journey. This is a journey that they have to go on for themselves in order to recognize that they can do it, that they are capable. They're just believing that they aren't, or they're repeating beliefs. If you say, I'm not good at communication, if you say, I'm not good at relationship, if you say, I'm not good at love, that's a belief. that you might have heard or had it sink into your subconscious in the past, maybe in childhood, or maybe from past relationships. Maybe a past relationship was very difficult and it made you believe that all relationships were difficult, or that you were not good at relationships. That is just a belief, but is that true? That's part of the deep dive. That's part of the shadow work, where you have to determine for yourself what is true and what is actually an illusion, what is actually just a program or just a belief that you can change. And any belief can be changed. A belief is just something, a perspective that you can either cement in, then that you can say, yes, this belief really resonates with me. Or you can say, you know what, it might have resonated with me in the past, but it doesn't resonate with me anymore. Beliefs can evolve. Beliefs can change, and that's part of the expanding mind. That's part of your own evolution. That's what I feel like the Divine Masculine is going through. I feel like they're going through an evolution within themselves. Divine Feminines, I feel like you're just not privy to that. And it's almost like they're hiding that from you. I'm getting this sensation. Even if you're in contact and communication with your Divine Masculine, you might not know all the nuances. You might not know everything that they are feeling or experiencing internally. Even if they are prone to sharing with you, because I feel like energy is shifting so rapidly for this Divine Masculine. And I feel like I'm just getting the sensation of they're trying to understand it for themselves before they present it to you. I feel like they do want to share with you their own journey, because I feel like they have a higher understanding of the journey now, where maybe you might have spoken to them about the journey in the past or your journey in the past, and now it's like they're putting the pieces of the puzzle together. But they have to understand it for themselves first. That's part of their journey, and that's part of you respecting their journey as well. Believing and knowing that they are capable of going through that journey. That just hit home for me. Okay. Because I've believed for so long, and all of a sudden it's like, I don't know if I can believe anymore. But, these readings, they hit home for me too. All right, Feminine, how are you feeling for the Divine Masculine? How are you feeling for the Divine Masculine or for the connection? Yeah. Well, okay. Can we be done with this reading yet? Are we done? Believe. Divine Feminines, believe. Believe. I'm getting the energy with the 5 card that things are still changing. Believe within yourself. Again, do not attach, but your sacred union, you're meant for union. You are meant for union. This union is coming in no matter what. And it might surprise you as far as who. It could be the original counterpart that's going to surprise the hell out of you in their growth, in their transformation. It could be somebody new that's coming in that's going to surprise you and blow you away. Trust. Have faith. Believe. Because you're meant for this. You are meant for this. Commitment, for me, the card commitment, yes, it's committing to yourself and your own soul growth journey. Yes, committing to the journey in a way, not attaching to the journey. That's really important. You can watch the Journey's End channelings, not attaching to the journey. But having, how do I say this? Trusting in that inner knowing. Thank you. Trusting in that inner knowing that has always guided you along this journey. When you began this journey, there was an inner knowing that began to grow and grow and grow, almost like a light that was once dim grows brighter and brighter and brighter. That was your inner knowing. And part of your work, Divine Feminine, was learning how to trust that inner knowing through the questions, through the doubt, through the illusion, through the physical evidence that just looked so freaking bollocks. You began to trust it. That's been your job. That's been your greatest lesson, your greatest struggle, your greatest triumph. That's what you believe in. You believe in your inner knowing, and you release the rest of the expectation. Commitment for me is higher level engagement, which means higher level of conversation, higher level of communication, higher level of reconciliation, higher level of connection. You, through your work, your sacred journey, your transformation, you've reached that higher level, because now you are much more conscious, and so you can invite in higher level conscious connections. healthy connections. You're not operating from the same template in the past, so you're not attracting in the same template of the past. That's what this card is. This card is believe in your inner knowing that you are attracting in a union that matches your frequency and the healing work that you've done. There's change here. There's change and growth here because of the change and the growth that you've experienced within yourself. And union energies. What do we need to know for the union energies? I swear to God, if we get that true love card, I'm going to be pissed. We have healing. Good, 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 good. This is the mending. There is healing that's happening on an energetic level. We have talked about that in the previous couple of readings, especially the Ascension Relationship Energy Update. I'm going to refer you guys back to that because I don't want to go deep into that and repeat myself here. But on the higher level, there is a massive amount of healing and mending, and that's why you're feeling such peace, is what they're saying. That's why you're feeling so much love and the resentment and the anger. You don't have to have conversations with somebody for there to be forgiveness, for there to be closure, for there to be compassion and understanding. It happens energetically. It all happens energetically. And the fact that you're feeling much more peace, the fact that you're feeling much more love is an indication of the healing work that you've done. And I feel like the healing is happening for both of you. What that means as far as the physical, I can't say. They won't let me. But that's where I have to release too. But we do have effort. It does feel like forward motion. It does feel like forward movement in one way or another. It does feel like sacred union. Okay, we're going to end this here. I'm going to send you all much love, much light, and I hope you join us tomorrow, Monday, September 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time here on YouTube for a beautiful channeling and chat as we celebrate the book launch. Thank you so much. I'm sending you all so much love, and let me know how this resonates, and I'm going to stop rambling now. Okay, have a good night.